Hello, Rusty here. I'm making this video because I'm going to be running a class for Fantasy Grounds College. I just thought it'd be good to have this as a pretty much cover the whole class to make available for anyone that does that class to have afterwards, to if they need to go back and go through anything. The video is on really how to interact with the Fantasy Grounds software, and I've promoted it as in how to build a fighter. I've just chosen a fighter because it's a reasonably easy class to build, but in the process you get to use all the different components of the Fantasy Grounds software. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel. Back to our character sheet. So we've got our ability scores in. So now what we want to do, probably the first thing you want to do is load up a race. So to find your races, you're going to go over to your banners and you will select races. Now if you can't see it, remember it's probably because you back in the library you haven't selected the Create PC one. You can toggle off any of these banners here just by ticking and unticking the boxes. I like to keep it on all, but if you haven't got much screen room, then you can put just on Create PC for the task we're going to be doing right now. So right now you need to have races, so make sure that races is checked. I am just going to pick an ASMR, don't know why. And now you can see here you've got different source books that these races, so not all the races are going to be available to you if you don't have the right source books. Maybe you've just got the SRD, so you'll only have the basic races, but as you buy more source books you will get more and more of these races made available to you. So right now I'm going to click ASMR. So all I'm going to do is just open up the pin here. See that brings you up a description of that race, and within that you've got other pins. You can get more detailed information, and there's different tabs here that you can go in. We'll come back to that later, and we'll need that stuff. So we want to click on ASMR, and we're going to drop ASMR in race. There you go. Now you can see in the chat it tells you all the things it's done to your character sheet. Now a lot of that stuff now will appear in these tabs down the side. You'll see that in your abilities tabs you'll have some information loaded, so if you want to click on those pins you can read up about that information. So to get to class, again you go to your banners on the right hand side. So we're going to build a fighter, so we want to make sure that we're back on the main tab and we select the fighter tab. Again, I can read all about the fighter there. That's everything you would find in the player's manual, and it's going to have some pins to open up special things about the fighter, and we'll get to them later. So we're going to drop the fighter into the class section. Now, so Fantasy Grounds is now going to ask me to select skills. So I'm going to select athletics and intimidation. It's asking me to choose two from the list below that you can have proficiency in. So click OK. So for one, you can see now fighter is giving me a strength, constitution, saving throw, proficiency. I'm able to add that there. And if I go to my skills tab, see the little star here? That tells me that I'm proficient with those skills. If I click on that star, that's going to toggle to double proficiency, half proficiency, back to none. So we just want to keep it on that. Let's say you want to put a new skill in. You've worked with your DM and you want to add something here that Fantasy Grounds hasn't got. You just click on this button here. You see this little plus sign up here. We can now add a new skill in here. We can select the stat we want to base it on. If there's any miscellaneous information, we can put it here, and the total is going to be there. So how you do a skill check is you just simply, that little white dot there, it looks like a white dot, it's actually a D20. If you left click on that, double click it, it's going to roll the dice automatically. So you'll see that a lot, these little dots on your character sheet. That wherever you got one of them, it means that's where you can do a roll from it. See them appearing in the chat box. Fantasy Grounds has done a whole lot of stuff to our character sheet, but we're not, it's not everything that's going to be already done up. We're going to have to go and do some of this stuff manually. So we're going to go in there and check that everything is done. So we're going to move now away from the mains tab. Our skills, we can check that our two skills are on and they should be all good. But the main one is this abilities tab here. Now we can open up these individual windows. So if we go to fighting style, You adopt a particular style of fighting as your specialty. Choose one of the following options. You can take a fighting style option more than once, even if you later get to choose again. Let's just say I want to take archery fighting style. I get a +2 bonus to attack rolls you make with a ranged weapon. At this stage I haven't got any weapons, so let's add a weapon. So I want to know what sort of weapons a fighter can use. Proficiencies, all simple martial weapons. And just to keep it simple, the fighter can, there are some recommendations for weapons that a fighter can take. So if I want to find out a little bit more about the fighter, I can just click on the class and level magnifying glass. Now here's where my levels are going to be, and I can put in here what I'm going to need for next level, and Fantasy Grounds will add my XP in here as the DM hands it out. So and you can keep track of how many hit dice you've used today for healing and short rest and that sort of thing. So if I click on fighter, it takes me back to the information about the fighter. Equipment. This suggests that I use a light crossbow. So I might just take a light crossbow. I'll show you how to put a light crossbow in. So you go to your items menu, and I can just type crossbow here and do a search for it. Or I can click on the weapons button, and it brings up all the weapons here and description of what they'll do. Light crossbow. Now it's not a +1 or anything, it's just a straight light crossbow. All I want to do now is drag the light crossbow and I put it in equipment. So that drops it in there, but it also gives me a light crossbow in the weapon. So the fighting style I chose, archery, gives me a +2 bonus to attack rolls you make with a ranged weapon. So how do I put that in? I don't want to be doing in a modifier of +2 every time I use it. So what I do is hit this little magnifying glass here, and it gives me a little breakdown of how the attack and the damage is going to use, how it's going to be worked out. So I can just simply put a 2 there in the bonus, and that has shifted my attack to +7. So when I want to use that light crossbow, all I do is hit this button here and it adds a +7. Without that bonus, it's now a +5. So whatever abilities you've got, you'll have little options, ways of being able to modify the Fantasy Grounds so that you are able to do anything you like with them. Second one, you have the limited well of stamina that you can draw on to protect yourself from harm. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 your fighter level. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest. So there is a way we can do that. We're going to go back to actions, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to add a power. I'm going to put in here class features. So when I do that, it creates a section for class features, and I can put the name of it here, Second Wind. And now I want to be able to tell Fantasy Grounds what I want Second Wind to do. So I right click there and see this little arrow button down here, that is add action. Click add action, it's going to bring up another radial menu, and it's going to be a heal, the add heal. So now a little add heal line comes up. Again, go to the little magnifying glass, brings up a new window. It says 1d10 plus your fighter level. So I'm going to grab a d10 and I drop it in there, and I want to put in here base. No, I'm not going to adjust that. My level plus my fighter level. And who is it going to target? It's going to target me. So every time I hit that, it's going to give me healing. So I've got 10 wounds. Hit that, gets rid of my wounds. With this one, I can only do this once per day. Once you use this, you must finish a short or long rest to use it again. So if I go to prep by just toggling down here, so I can just toggle that to select rest and put a 1 in there, and that just tells it how many times I can use it. Right, so once I've used it, I can just tick it, it's gone. So I suppose I better show you this. Down the bottom of your actions tabs, you've got different modes. It says standard mode, which shows you everything. Preparations, which you use when you're preparing stuff and planning your character for the day or after a long rest. And then combat, which kind of minimizes it just to the buttons that you need for combat. And the display just puts things as a group, a summary, or just your actions that you want to take. So right now I've got everything, so I want to see everything. So you can tick this. Once you've used it, it disappears if you've got it in the combat. To bring it back, just bring it back to standard or prep, and you can see everything. I will post a list of other websites below this YouTube video with links that you might be able to use to find other additional help. I hope you found it useful. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be uploading more stuff for Fantasy Grounds College to support any classes I run there. Thanks for watching.